Howdy.
Oh.
We are live. Howdy do.
Mm-hmm. All right, then. Danny's out again. In Hawaii.
Yeah.
Not there.
She just sent me a photo of a turtle, and my level of jealousy is a little bit too high. I'm hurting. I'm like, can I be the turtle? Please? May I be a turtle?
Yes. So yes, as I was saying before we went live, the weather here has been more Atlantic Canadian than usual this winter, and yeah. So wound up having to cancel the game. Wound up having to cancel my game yesterday, so I was just fingers crossed that I was going to be waking up with a migraine this morning. So, yay! I get to be here.
Yay!
Well, that's good. The weather sounds awful.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Succinct.
Thanks. I try to be clear and concise. And that's the end of that. How are we?
All right, yeah.
What's your favorite added ingredient to mac and cheese?
Bacon, not close.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to remember the last time I had mac and cheese.
To me, it's actually a recipe change. It's tuna, white wine, throw it into a casserole dish, and bake.
Yeah,
there's no mac or cheese in there.
No. You take mac and cheese,
and then you add tuna.
You throw a can of tuna into it, you mix it up, you put a half a cup of cheap white wine into it, throw it in the oven, and bake it.
Oh, hang on. No, that's where we diverge. No, we put white wine.
Like $1 million if we do it that
No,
way.
see, because you're still tasting it though. Like it's still going into your body. You don't want the cheap white wine. Cheap white wine's going to give you the cheap mac and cheese.
Yes, but if you're using
that's not
depends. When you say mac and cheese, do you mean hand grated cheese or formula powder goo?
Yes.
I have never had. I've seen and tasted once the formula powdered goo. That's not mac and cheese. It is hand grated cheese because hand grated cheese will make better mac and cheese.
Well, then yes,
and
under those conditions, you want a good white wine, yes.
But it's also
just that most North Americans are buying the prefab stuff, which has dehydrated cheese. And unfortunately, the dehydration process makes it ever so slightly bitter. So if you use a crap white wine, it actually fixes the problem.
Oh no, this is making me bitter. Let's move on. This is painful. I don't like it. I'm not gonna ask any more food related questions right now. Because I'll have a Danny style rant. Like it cannot do that. You can't be doing that, Mac.
Channeling your inner Danny.
Yeah. We're not doing it.
I mean, we could then end up with like at some point do like a compilation of just like food rants.
Oh my goodness, no. I'm still hurting. Tell me what you do, people.
Sam, save us.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a voice actor and performer based in Australia, in Brisbane. You can find me on Twitter at @_RealSamAP. And I don't have anything to spruik at the moment. So,
I mean,
that's it. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. We have a TikTok page now.
Nice. Yes. You've been working on that.
So it definitely didn't take me 2 attempts to make that account, because I can do those things.
I'm a trained professional.
It took me more attempts to work out how to actually format a video into it doesn't matter. But I mean, there's only one thing up there because I've been a little exhausted, so I haven't. But there's definitely one I made to make sure that I could actually turn clips from here into something that would fit there. So
Fantastic.
I
Thank
will
you.
endeavour to put more up. The idea is to have a few up between each show and have them, if I can be really clever, just have them automatically post at certain points. But we'll see. But it's there. It's the same as the Twitter. So at We Are Lost Worlds.
Fantastic. And that was entirely intentional. Brilliant of you. Good job.
Yes, definitely.
Are you saying that like it wasn't?
I mean, look, it was intentionally the second option, yes. It was going to be Lost Worlds Archive. And then things happened.
I see.
All right then.
Amy?
Well, that's me. I'm Jamie. I'm Jamie Collette. In fact, you can find me on my website, www.jamie-collette.com, or on Twitter @Muffin Manifesto. I am also a voice actor and director, and most recently, a Path of Exile racer. I'm speedrunning games now, apparently.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Are you live streaming that?
I wasn't, but a couple of people from our team, like a few of our captains, were streaming.
Oh, very good. Cool.
Yeah, the guy who runs our team, Havoc, is maybe the fastest in the world. It's up for debate occasionally because the game changes so often, but
Right.
he is very, very fast at the game.
Amazing. All right, Chantal.
Me. I am Chantal B. I'm on Twitter at Chantal B. I am currently a writer for Omens Rising and a writer, well, a consulting part of Bard RPG, which is a system
awesome.
agnostic game that a genre agnostic system that's being developed. So that's one of the things that I'll be doing, which is fun. Bard is done by Scriv the Bard, which is amazing, and she's great. She comes from a psychology background as well, so between the two of us, we've been brainstorming and both went, okay, we have to stop because otherwise we're just going to sit and write it now. So brainstorming could have become whole system, very exhausted, not finished thesis. Instead, it is why not wait and let it develop over time. And that's what we're doing. So that's nice.
Very good. Awesome.
Yeah. And you?
I am Michel Vaillancourt. You can catch up with me at MichelV69 on Twitter. Alternately, you can catch up with me, same rough name.
Same rough channel?
Yeah, well, so the problem is that Vaillancourt is one of those words that does not phonetic into English, and neither does Valancourt, which is the closest most people get in English. So there's just literally, it's literally easier to find me off my my Twitter. Find me off Twitter, and you can find my website from there.
Alternatively, learn how to spell, and don't apologize for your name. I'm just saying.
No. You have to understand that there are some French names which are perverse, and then there's the group of names that mine fall into when it comes to spelling. Like, if you even broke your own rules, like I can understand you're irritating the English with that, but here you broke your own French rule.
Chantal doesn't make anyone happy. The name, as in, I mean. Also me, but like the name Chantal doesn't make anyone happy because everyone wants to spell it differently and pronounce it differently. So learning and pronouncing my name takes more effort than you'd think. And so when people do that, that is the basic level of respect required to interact with someone, I believe.
Fair enough.
So people can learn to pronounce Vaillancourt, or they can not talk to you. I have decided now.
Shawnee has spoken.
I have spoken. Learn it. It's not
yeah,
as
so
hard as
I'm
you think
also
it is.
yeah. So real fast though, I'm a published author. I've got 3 novels. You can find me on Amazon, and currently working on a writing project for Open Legend, doing a dark future splat book. I think is the industry phrase they use now.
Is that the technical
yeah.
term?
Yeah.
I think it is.
I'm used to them being called source books, but apparently that's not what they're referred to anymore. So they're splat books, setting books. Yeah. Yeah.
Something else is
So,
called a splat
and
book.
that's
I can't
coming
remember
along
what it
well.
is. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it.
Yes. Thank you.
Should we introduce the show?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Let's go. And yes, it is pronounced Chantelli.
Chantelli?
Chantelli. As of right now. I'll let my mom know. We have returned. Hello.
Yes.
Us again.
Yes. Bad habit. All right. Let's see here. Last week, of course, Jamie, you were under the weather, so we missed. Let's do a quick recap of recent events and then plow forward. Can we get Alexandri to give us a brief recap of recent horticultural discoveries?
I made a plant, it didn't work out. Let's move on.
I mean, succinct.
I may have made an evil plant. Let's move on. It decided on a really stupid name. Out of respect, and because my player just made a point of it, I have to use it. It's called Thornfang.
All right then.
Also, there's an assassin woman somewhere around.
Uh-huh.
That's a thing that's happening right now. Someone else wants to kill me. Yay!
Awkward.
Take a ticket. You will be waiting for a while.
Maisel, as one of the other people directly impacted by recent horticultural discoveries, what's your take on all this?
Well, Alexandre animated some rose vines. Didn't go very well. A person died as a result. We managed to contain it, and there's a chance she'll be able to train the creature, I guess, but it definitely has a vicious streak, enjoys hurting other things. But at the same time, I kind of get it. She's lonely. Wants to connect. I can appreciate that. And yeah, some a new person now. Throwing their hat in the ring, as it were. Don't really know a lot about this person, so I don't know if they're new. Maybe they're an old person. Have to ask the others, I guess. But not really sure of their intentions, so it could be a Shagalza situation all over again. Don't know if we'll get lucky twice, though. Guess we'll have to find them first.
And Spider.
Yeah, I mean, annoyingly, we're stuck in the city because of this bloody martial lockdown. But I'm making the best of it. Unfortunately, some of my father's men seem to have got in before the lockdown also, which is convenient timing for them. Luckily, it seems like Alexandria has come up with a solution for that problem. So I'll leave it up to her to handle that.
Here, hug this rose bush.
That's right, mate. Meanwhile, I'll find whoever it is who's trying to do her in, and we can do each other a favor, I think.
You say things are a little bit complicated.
Couldn't be simpler, mate.
This is all the stuff you understand, hey?
That's it. And in the meantime, just been digging my heels in, getting comfy in the city, so that maybe we have a place to come back to, assuming that when Alexandria reaches the center of the plains, we don't completely recreate the universe from scratch, which is disturbingly on the list of possibilities.
Something about cake.
That's right. But I am mildly worried about how deep the enemy claws might be getting into Lucas while we sit here waiting. And I'm hoping that we can get moving soon. Because now I know that we could find Lucas Sr. through that gate, portal, whatever you want to call it. The ship. I am keen for us to get back to our originally scheduled viewing.
All right, then. So, things have been busy in Cliff Spider. Last session, one of the things that happened, of course, was that you had been speaking to a young burgeoning bard and his chum, and getting a little bit of information about what exactly was that had gone on that led to the tip-off that it seems to be that someone's been sniffing. And yeah, so you've gotten a bit of information that way. The past day or so, so let's see. So functionally then, unless anyone has anything more concrete to do, my thought was to move the clock ahead 2 days. Just reflecting you guys essentially not having a huge amount to do. You're living a very comfortable light at the staggering clock. You're not wanting for anything. The twins are remarkably happy with the largesse that you've brought back from your first expedition, and things are proceeding apace for the second one. At one point in time, a trio of guards stopped in and made a bit of a fuss about looking for someone that sounded an awful lot like Spider, but Spider was looking an awful lot like Switch instead, and so no one noticed Spider. And no, haven't heard of him, don't know anybody by that name. Oh, actually, I have. He was over on the far side of town, over by the drain pit, just this morning. Right, we'll look there, thank you.
Just a random person did that?
No.
Well, no, random
One of the
person.
boys.
I was just gonna say one of the regulars. Yeah. They have,
Wait, was
it's
Given that Mysol's been actively causing spider sightings and Alexandria and like veiled princess sightings around town, like it could legitimately just mean a person being like, "Oh no, I did see someone by that description. They were."
Yeah,
that's true.
In this case, you actually get the impression the answer is actually column C. Has no idea what's going on, just likes irritating the guards.
I like it. I see it. I appreciate it. I vibe.
I didn't go anywhere near the pit. What's going?
I vibe.
Okay.
Coin to that one.
Yeah, so we'll say that a couple days have gone by. Things, as I say, the town is busy. You are going to get some word over breakfast. A fairly tall, best way to explain it is Sam the Eagle as a punk rocker.
Lost me at step one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up Sam the Eagle.
The Muppet. From the
Muppets.
Oh, Sam the Eagle as who?
Punk rocker.
As a punk rocker. He walks in, everything bigger than life, walks in a straight line, doesn't actually turn, kind of just these, but he's festooned like an absolute riot, in the usual riotous color palette that the full Sixty adore. And he walks.
Just out of curiosity, as a full 60, if he has a mohawk, does that make him like a cockatoo?
Excellent question.
A cockatoo in a china shop
is a sulfur crested cockatoo.
Yeah, you've got the idea. Extra toothpaste for extra hole.
If he's not a cockatoo, is that appropriation?
Look, he's a bald eagle. It's a bit of a.
Well, bald eagle's a misnomer to start with, so we can just go from there.
And that's what he says.
So yeah, Sam the Eagle as a punk rocker is the closest I can get to what you're looking at. And he doesn't so much walk as goose steps over to the table that Switch is sitting at. And he stops, and he looks at you and says, excuse me, is your name Switch?
Not what I was expecting, was it? Depends who's asking, obviously.
I am.
And you are?
Yeah. I'm Gritty Chronothrovar.
I'm not gonna try and pronounce that.
Most people don't. Just call me Grits.
Grits.
I'm a friend of your other friend.
I have a lot of friends, Grits.
Oh, right, Kaz. Sorry. She wanted me to deliver a message. Are you Switch?
I am indeed Mr. Switch. Have a seat, Grits.
Excellent. She's going to be indisposed for a few days more. She wanted me to tell you that there's two things going on. So first, big order. And she said for some reason it was important that I let you know that it's all coming in at night and it's all being done more than usual. I don't know what more than usual means, but that's what she said.
Very well.
And the other thing she wanted me to tell you is, and I don't know why she would want me to tell you this because it's sort of not really. She looks at you. He looks at you for a moment. It kind of does the. For those of you, by the way, who are not used to birds, a lot of them have eyes that have different focal lengths. And so it's not uncommon if you get the head tilt routine is them trying to get the better eye, get you into focus because something's not making sense. So he does this a couple times before thinking, oh, I guess she trusts you. So she wanted me to let you know, and it's a secret, that a whole bunch of the birdhouse have defected. They joined the Confederacy, the army. You're not supposed to do that.
No, I can't imagine that you are.
Well, it was sort of an agreement, like when.
Oh no, we lost
No.
Grits. Just as things were getting
Oh,
spicy.
no. Oh, no.
Spicy grits.
He said too much.
I'm into spicy grits. Interesting. I feel like there's some piece of information here that Spider's getting that I'm not. I'm gonna need.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to invoke that perk when Michelle gets back. The one where I understand exactly what's being said because I don't. More than usual.
More than you. What usually would get delivered?
Well, I mean,
What's coming in at
People.
night? People. Yeah. People are coming in more than usual.
people.
More people are coming in.
Weapons.
So army.
That's my guess.
He had electrical out.
Oh, fun.
Message on Twitter, the lights flickered, so they're going to have to sort of.
Oh no.
He's just fixing that, and then they'll be back.
Yeah. So there's an army, and they've taken over Michelle's electrical system.
Yeah.
Um,
That's definitely what's happening.
And I feel like it's too early for a break, but we can anyway if you want.
It's probably a wise decision.
Okay, well, we're gonna do that. We'll be back. Why hands?
Have you considered that you might like a disguise that doesn't involve being wrapped up in veils?
Yes.
Will you let me do your makeup?
No. You.
Think don't be afraid.
You look like you need a ride. You look like you need a ride. I'm here to help, but I don't think that I can fit your friend there. Can you ask them if they are going to eat me?
Depends
In
on
that
your
case-
answer.
My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the games master and storyteller for Unlawful Disorder. I've been asked to give a summary of events of the game, but that seems a little strange because, well, that's the job of the players. Don't ask me what the story is, I'm just the guy telling it. So, let's talk about how we got here. So, about a year ago, I saw a bunch of really talented people doing some really cool stuff. And I thought, well, that's cool. I'll have to keep them in mind. And a little while after that, I got a call from a roleplay channel asking me to set up a game. They wanted a European time zone friendly game. So I went back and I called up the cool people doing the cool stuff. So that would be Chantel and company. Cool. So, after that, we took a little bit of time, discussed a good D&D campaign, and I brought forward one of my homebrew worlds. And they looked at me and said, no.
You're sure he's not gonna eat me?
He's not gonna eat you.
Okay, I'm a friend then.
Depends
In
on
that
your
case,
answer.
It's not the name that's on the bounty, and that's all that matters to me.
Okay. Now I just have to remember to respond to it.
Well, you'll do that, won't you, Eric? Eric,
Are you going to eat them?
Considers it.
By the way, you have no clue what she's on about. Like, you've never seen one of these things before.
he's a vegan!
Oh, what?
Definitely don't know what that is.
I don't care what he is. He's got big teeth.
You do have big teeth. Nothing.
Hugo's grasp of the trade tongue is
Oh,
body.
do you? Oh, do you? What do you eat them?
Sort of looks back up. I will not consume that person.
Could you be a little more generic and just say you're not going to consume anyone in the city as well? Just to make it easier.
That'd be great.
So reverting back to Elvish, like
Just try.
what language?
No.
I'm not gonna eat people.
I know you're not going to eat people.
Language is hard.
I know. Just say it the way I'm telling you to say it. I'm not going to eat the city.
I'm not gonna eat the city.
Yes.
I'm not gonna eat the city. Mental image got too funny.
We have returned, and hopefully with Michelle. There we go.
Yeah.
Yay!
Huzzah.
All right. Oh, that was, yeah. It hasn't happened here in a while. But anyway, back. So you were talking to, quote, Grit. And so essentially what they explained to you is that two things of interest are going on, and Kazra wanted the message conveyed because they're tied up with flock business, if you will. There's a massive airlift happening, and it's basically it's all night flights, only, quote, more so than usual. Or more than usual, which is, Kazra speak for more so than usual. So that's interesting to Spider because, well, if, the Confederates, that's...
Yeah.
So, somebody's doing something big. And then the second thing that Grits tells you is that a substantial number, about, a quarter of the flock, mostly the younger set, a lot of the full 60 actually Kazra's age, have, if you will, without any particular warning to anybody else, en masse, quit the birdhouse, if you will, turned their backs on the flock, and have signed up with the Confederate forces, which would give them a full path towards citizenship, right? And essentially, there was just sort of this tacit agreement inside the flock that, from the point since the original arrival, 50 odd years ago, whatever it was, that the full 60 were just going to remain friendly but neutral.
Yeah.
So something's gone on, and it's the younger group. It's the gang that are either all born here or basically don't remember what home looks like. They were that young when they arrived. That have all sort of made this big decision to move en masse as a social group. But yes, Grits tends to speak like this, which is at complete odds to his appearance.
Yeah.
And so, so he delivers the message, lets you know that he'll probably pop by tomorrow at about the same time if you have a message that you want to have returned. He's a really good. He apparently owes Kazra for something, so he doesn't mind running the odd message back and forth for.
Michelle, my understanding from what you've said, if there's stuff moving at night, it's probably people and or contraband, like weapons and stuff.
It's smuggling.
Yeah.
And the full 60 basically are running a very politely ignored is a better way of putting it, contraband business, which pays the bulk of their actual bills. The daytime stuff is all the above board stuff. It's the obvious, it's the cartload of milk. It's the, the diplomats. It's the whatevers. But, for example, any of the business that would have had that the Dashamali would have arranged for you to get up here, you'd have been arriving at night.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have like one more question for Grits before he leaves. I'm just working out how to phrase it.
Okay.
Grits, you seem like a very cluey and intelligent fellow.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
This division in the birdhouse. Who do you think has the better of it?
He's got. You're. Keep in mind, it's not like a beak is entirely expressive. You're still learning. Kaz is sort of your sample group of one about full 60 body language, but just the way the head moves back and forth and the eyes kind of scan the room, and you get the impression giving it some serious thought. I guess. As long as you don't mind the expense, I suppose it's a good deal. He shrugs. I like my No, that's not fair. I value my family enough that it's not a decision I can make. I want to make sure that my mom and my dad and my grandma and my grandmom are all taken care of. So I'm staying, but also he shrugs. We're second-class citizens, and everybody knows it.
Not everybody believes it.
For some, that's, I guess, pride. If the only thing separating between what they're due, what they're owed, what they believe, I don't know how you'd explain it, but There's enough of them who seem to figure that it's worth turning their back on everything just to go somewhere new. But I suppose that shouldn't be a surprise given how we got here.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, give Kaja my thanks for the update and tell her that family matters more than anything.
Will do. Y'all be safe. Bye-bye. Which is really weird because, again, bird. Things flutter off the table. And he turns it, again, Goose steps back out, turning it hard 90-degree angles and looking completely out of place.
Interesting. I want to defer to my friends in the group above the table. Do I invoke my silver tongue on this very helpful, kind bird and learn a useful secret about the creature? Or I feel like there's still some likelihood that we might encounter a creature to talk to whom I would rather learn a more valuable secret about.
You might learn a more valuable secret, but will you learn a more interesting one from a bird that goose steps? Specifically, I want to know who this bird is sleeping with. Because ain't no other reason to goose step.
I love this character. He just puts on all the airs. Yeah, look.
Every new piece of information about this guy has just been a left turn.
It's been amazing. I will, I think, invoke Silver Tongue and learn one useful secret of the GM's choosing about grits.
Sure. He'd been asked.
Yeah.
It seems that he was very carefully trying not to. He very nearly considered accepting. In fact, it's just that at the end he decided he couldn't live with himself if he did it. It's not that he doesn't want to go. It's not that he doesn't believe that it wouldn't actually be a better life for him going forward, but he just can't live with himself with the idea that he turned his back on his grandparents. It wasn't just idle pontification. That was literally the only thing having held him back.
Yeah.
And you get the impression that Kaz probably would have been in on the conversation if she hadn't been out with you guys for the week that you'd been. This is something that kind of sort of swelled and rolled in while you folks were out of town for the week and a bit. Now it's unlikely that that there was a mass revolt in the space of a week, but certainly the dice got thrown, as if you will, within the last week. So yeah.
Oh, that tracks.
So Kaz, of course, kind of probably gotten rather blindsided by the entire thing, just because literally 25% of and it's the younger generation largely have packed up and left.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, it was a very near thing for your your new acquaintance here to have been around for Kazura to ask, I guess is the best way to putting it. All right. But yeah, I guess the hard core of it is that if the character has a flaw or a weakness, He has an incredibly strong sense of family, to the point where he'll put up with being a second-class citizen on that basis, even though he knows there's a better life elsewhere.
Good boy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, KJ, that's funny. So that's an in-joke between KJ and I. It's a Canadian. It's a Quebecerism.
I don't get it.
Mais oui, mais quoi se mange en hiver? It's a Quebecer way of dismissing current discussion as transitory and irrelevant. Yes, but what does it eat in winter?
I see.
In other words, if it's not going to last the winter, your average Quebecer doesn't care.
In the 2 days we jumped over,
Yeah.
My sort of attempted to ascertain if, along with his people, if Cedric was in town as well.
Okay. I'm going. No role required. Yes, he is. Arrived this morning. You checked yesterday. You arrived late last night, I guess is a better way of putting it. Sort of one of the last official arrivals. I think so. Yeah, wasn't in town yesterday. You sort of, it's been 2 days kind of thing. So day number 1 not in town. Late in day number 2 was in town. His morning of sort of it's that kind of scheduling, and arrived incidentally as part of a diplomatic attaché.
Okay.
So it's him, it's a couple of obvious other well-placed bureaucrats, it's a obvious well-placed member of the military. There's a group of 6 have arrived in the city.
So it's a public arrival. Goody.
Very.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, interesting to Chantel. Alexandria would have spent the last 2 days trying to make an evil plant good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about that.
Yeah. I mean, look, I said tried.
Well, you saw the stat block I posted. It is stubborn as all get out. On the other hand,
It's Alexandria, to be fair.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, what a coincidence. So I think, for lack of a better way of putting it, you're going to find yourself butting heads with a plant repeatedly over those 2 days. A plant which is both as cunning and manipulative as Alexandria can be on a foul day.
Oof. Oof. What a difficult couple of days.
Yeah. I think it's yeah. And again, it's not. Trying to come up with a way to explain it. It's not malevolent. It just doesn't care.
Okay. Well, that's better.
It really is having some issues trying to get its head around, other than it's very much a creature of id, I suppose, to use the best pop culture explanation I can use. While it does have a mean streak, you've learned not to walk barefoot.
So it's a Lego plant, I understand.
At the same token, its primary concern is, okay, as long as you're not going to lop me into pieces and add me to a salad, that I'm willing to cohab. Okay. So
Still wouldn't sleep around it? You know, still wouldn't,
Well,
still
no,
wouldn't
I
like
mean,
share a
that's
room.
for lack of a better way of putting it, you get the impression it sort of feels the same way about you and Mysel. He's, it's not terribly convinced it wants you in the room anytime it's trying to nap.
You know what? I'll take it. Healthy respect on both sides. I'll take it.
It's still really grumpy about the part where it was wandering around in circles on the roof when it thought it was chasing a steak. It's really sore about that.
I mean, so's the halfling.
Easy come, easy go.
So I take it eats meat. Does it eat meat or does it drink blood? Like, what's its situation there?
It is in fact an actual vampiric plant.
Okay.
It is not carnivorous, it is vampiric. So it does not depend very much in the same way that pitcher plants, for example, use digestive fluids to reduce whatever falls in them into something that it can metabolize to keep the plant operational in crap soil. Does the exact same thing. It's just that instead it
hunts it down.
Right. It will actively wander over towards whatever it is it needs. And it exsanguinates the target.
Does it if it's offered food, does it see the need to hunt for food?
I guess the best way of, it's very much like dealing with a relatively raw id. If it's hungry, it's going to go eat. So if it doesn't get hungry, that part of the process just doesn't occur. So if you keep, for lack of a better way of putting it, if you go downstairs and chat with the cooks and every time, and get the cuttings and the drippings and just keep a bucket that it can that it can slurp out of, then it doesn't need to go anywhere.
I will continue to do this. I have a feeling that when trying to travel, having backpacks of blood might be a problem, but we'll figure that out when it becomes a problem.
Yes. So mechanically, it is in fact it uses life drain, but the effect is exsanguination.
Okay.
So.
Does it want anything outside of that? Like, is it going to kill things just for sport? Like, does it have amusement needs? Do I give it video games? Do I give it board games? Do I read books to it? Like, what's the?
Well, okay. So for perspective, let's see here. Its might stat. Its learning stat is a 4. This is not a dumb creature. So it is it's I posted the stat block. It's got a learning of 4 and a logic of 2 and a perception of 2. This is an intelligent, cunning creature that probably runs the risk of boredom.
That's what
you're really not sure that's good for anybody.
No, it's not. I, Chantel, am very aware of that. I could be this creature. I will not be Thornfang.
You'd look awful. You'd look awful with that much black eyeshadow.
I don't mind eyeshadow. I do mind the name. I will not be Thornfang. I may be that level of emo because I definitely had that phase. Definitely had that phase.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. That having been said, like I say, it is a remarkably self-motivated, it does enlighten self-interest very well. If things are working in its benefit, it's quite happy to play.
Play how?
I don't give it a balloon. That doesn't work well. But
I mean, that might be fun.
I was just going to say, but you are dealing with essentially a squid-like creature. So it's got complete What's the word I'm looking for when you can manipulate objects? Prehensile. It's completely prehensile. It can essentially attach to whatever it decides it wants to hang off of, other than steel bars. And so, yeah, if you want to throw things to it, it will happily grab them out of the air and throw them back at you. You'll probably have to train it a couple of times not to aim for your nose, because, okay, you threw something at me. I'll throw it back.
So,
but
here's the thing that will take time, but Alexandria would absolutely do, is try to teach it how to write.
Okay.
Because if it can understand,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's completely prehensile, then it can hold a pen.
Yeah.
So then it could communicate.
Yes.
Rather than needing to decide, I'm going to go eat this thing now.
Yeah. I've been presuming that you've been using, essentially telepathy to
Yes.
communicate with it in general. But yes, if it was able to hold up a sign marked "I'm hungry, find me a hobbit," then you would at least be able to head off the next disaster.
Yeah, but it's also a case of like, Alexandra doesn't think this. Chantel does. That's a seriously good spy. It can go anywhere at any time and take notes.
Well, I'm just going to say, and as I said, the only reason you noticed it initially was because of the begonias it had knocked out of the garden box. Otherwise, it was just pretty roses hanging out of a garden box.
Yeah, I'm gonna teach it to write. I'm gonna make this really creepy, awful plant very, very dangerous to human life. In so many different ways. Let's go there. Let's do that. Why not? Can only end well. So when Alexandria takes over the world, no one will ever know how she gets her information. Anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Teaching my Yep.
And what is Mysel up for that? So yeah, you were able to both, but just by virtue of being the kid strolling around town with your ears open, hearing various people talking about various things going on, you've got a guff of the news that way, and then you've already been able to spot. You've already spied on, the Chancellor once. So being able to spy on him 2 or 3 times after that's trivial for Mysel at this point. So you were able to, determine that yes, they were in town. Oh, he's here on official business as far as this looks like. I don't think Mysel is sufficiently smart, even without conversation of heyo. I don't think it's possibly lost on Mysel that the timing would be right after martial law was declared.
Yeah. Is Spider handling finding this other person?
I'm certainly trying to.
Because if Spider's been like, I'm gonna go find that person, like Marcel's happy to let them handle it, rather than cheat, as it were.
I mean, Mysel might be the person Spider goes to find it.
Fair enough.
After what I learned last time, I don't know that bodies on the street is going to get it done.
He had been intending to try and talk to some of the Elderful 60 about their stories of the, what was it called? The Augmengandia. So he might have tried to do that, but
yep, sure thing.
I am
Um,
tempted
mhm,
now that Cedric is actually here
mhm.
to have a chat with Cedric.
Okay.
Not
Yikes.
directly,
uh-huh.
but on Meisel's terms,
uh-huh.
you know. But it is tempting to do it not just like with astral telepathy,
Mm-hmm.
but actually close enough to still use telepathy, but to also use like hallucination should I need to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so before he arrived, he would have been trying to arrange a conversation with the full 60.
Mm-hmm.
And then after he's arrived, it's sort of keeping an eye on him to be like, work out, is there like a way that I can get like given where he's staying or where he's commonly going, is there like a way that I can like position myself within like a certain I can't remember what the range is for hallucination, but within sight.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
It'd be
So
within
the
like
short
50
version
meters
is
or something
that,
like that.
Yeah, it's essentially, it's. I think it's tied actually to your stat, but I'd have to go double check. So it's however whatever your relevant stat is in inches, I believe, or double that in inches. I can't remember.
I think there's like various. It's certain brackets.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, short, long, etc. So let's start out with your discussion with the full 60. What are you trying to dredge up, for lack of a better way of putting it?
It's not so. It's basically that 75 feet, by the way.
Okay.
Is the it's essentially like, you know, for, you know, close to like 1,500 years, Meisel and Heo have believed that Heo is the last dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And now not only is there definitely like 2 other dragons potentially within you know, decades of each other, at least. Well, so at least one other dragon, I should say. But apparently they exist in the same plane that the full 60 did, long enough that they have mythology.
Yeah.
And so
go ahead.
It's sort of like wanting to sort of, it's like, did dragons come from there, or did they go to there, and that they actually they did like a reverse for what the full 60 did?
Yes.
Did they flee to this place, and it wasn't, and that here was more out of the loop or whatever, or there was like a faction within the dragons that just like fled, or is that just, or did they originally come from there and there's just been dragons there the whole time?
Yeah. All right. So Kazra will, of course, be more than happy to make introductions and what have you, and get you talking to the right people. And you know, there is the full 60 are a by definition cautious folk. Being outsiders in the Confederacy does not do a whole lot for the speed at which you put on the tea kettle. However, the fact that Kaz seems to think the world of you has gone an awful long way towards making people, you know, sit down by the full 60 do not do fires, they do smokes. It's you know, chunks of various woods that are rich in particular oils or whatever that, when burned, produce various sweet-smelling smokes. They use wood. They use smoky wood fires the way that some people use hookahs. So, I don't know how my soul will cope with that, but you'll be sitting chatting with a couple of full 60 elders, the equivalent of the grand a single grandmother and a single grandfather at the veterans home, who just happen to be out playing checkers when you show up with someone they know. So after a little bit of introduction and a rearranging of and some choice scents being added to the smoke, and some strong tasting drink, not alcoholic, just strong tasting, because again, avians in general don't taste capsicum. I'm just gonna say, hence the disaster that Spider experienced a while ago. So yeah, first off, they're vaguely curious about your interest in dragons, because they're not really used to humans even knowing what a dragon is. So
I guess that depends how much. What did Kazra tell you about me?
that you're a solid traveling companion, that you're always there when you need to be, and that you're very clever for your age.
I'm actually really dumb for my age, but that's
Under the category of careful prevarication, we find
I'm older than I look. A lot older than I look. Magic is weird. I have some rather unique insights, I guess, into dragons, and a personal interest, I guess. And so the revelation that your people have not just have a whole mythology that seems to indicate that dragons have existed both here and where you are from. And I'm kind of interested to explore that and the implications that opens up.
After a couple of moments of them chatting back and forth, so without getting into a massive long creation myth, essentially the plane of air was created from nothing. And as everybody knows, the reason the wind blows is because air will always fill a void. And so all of the air in the world filled the void. But lifeless air is useless, and nature doesn't keep useless things. So it needed life. So it created the flower pots.
Oh no.
What a strange place to,
The
to
flower
lose
pot.
someone. The universe needed to fill the void, so it filled it with air and then flower pots.
The obvious next
The
step.
very obvious next item on the list of of things that you fill a void with.
I mean,
I really
I'm
hope the
sure-
next thing is bookshelves. That's what I would like. For it to be filled with bookshelves. And then someone, as a housewarming gift, purchased a little dragon statuette. And thus we have the myth of dragons.
the plane of air was the
In a
god
housewarming.
the god student accommodation.
Oh my gosh.
Initially there was nothing, and then there was some air, and then some plants.
And then there was shitty mac and cheese, and all of the bird people decided to run here because, let's be honest. Let's go to another break.
I think. Oh, I just got a message.
They're going to be back in a sec, but we'll give them that moment.
Yeah.
Sweet. We have returned again.
Yay! Yay for us.
And there was much rejoicing.
Indeed. There we go.
So you were talking about a giant flower pot, and my assumption from that leads to next is a bookshelf, and then a miniature dragon is placed on the bookshelf.
Actually, it would be a whale. So Douglas Adams
be a
reference.
Yeah. The small petunia.
Only turtles.
Yeah. Right. Just one moment. My apologies here, folks. Just getting everything reopened. So the flower pots are it's a bad translation, but that's what the full 60 call the floating islands that are found in the elemental plane of air. And of course, nature with unlimited growth gets out of balance, and so of course the universe, whatever you want to call it, again, without going through essentially with the equivalent of a Viking saga in terms of detail and complexity, this story details the creation of all of the moving parts of the ecosystem of the elemental plane of air. Now, and the full 60 are essentially one of the last things that get added to the mix. And then it essentially all goes well for a while. And then the full 60 begin to dabble in forbidden magic. Specifically the magic of the void. And the forces of creation aren't really keen on that. The void is the anathema of creation. And so, for lack of a better way of putting it, to borrow a phrase that Alexandre, or at least Chantel, is recently familiar with, succeed in the worst possible way. The first dragon arrives. It is a creature of the void. It is possessed of insatiable hunger. It consumes everything in its path, like the closest answer I can get is a corrosive mist. And the effect naturally is catastrophic. And it basically wrecks full 60 society. They go from being Renaissance to Stone Age. Time passes. The full 60 learn to deal with this thing that has inhabited their world, but the thing itself has changed, because you can't live in a space without it modifying you, without it changing you, without you adapting to it. And so the one becomes many, and they go from being incorporeal specter like doom clouds to the winged monsters known to the full 60 as the flock eaters. the Ormangandir. The full 60 have functionally been at a war is not the right answer. War implies that there is a peaceful option. They have been in a perpetual state of survival battle with the Ormangandir for probably 1,500 to 2,000 years. The problem is that the full 60 tradition is largely an oral one, and while they do have a pictographic style, the initial catastrophe of the arrival of the first, and the literal resetting of their civilization leaves some of the dates, we'll use the phrase, muddy. So there's an awful lot of interpretive slop there. And as with most oral traditions, they don't really talk in years, because amongst other things, there's no sun per se. There's no... The elemental plane of air just changes luminosity, but it never goes completely dark and it never goes completely bright. And so, there are periods of dark, which is when, there's an awful lot of cloud obscuring the ambient light, or, there are periods of dark in the shadow of when one flower pot is occluding another. But there's no conventional idea of seasons the way that the Confederacy, for example, counts time. So the full 60 use the most obvious other answer, which is generations. And again, that's because it's a retelling of a lost myth. There's some slop in the numbers. I think, however, based on the look on your face, that you can't help but notice that that the margin of error has an unfortunate overlap.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate. It's not the word I'd use. Interesting.
Fair enough. No.
But it's sort of like, I don't suppose. I mean, I don't imagine you've had cause to do this, but have you ever compared your stories of the Ormangandir to our history of dragons?
Essentially, no. And the answer is exceedingly straightforward. Mostly because no one seems to know very much. They're dead.
Yeah.
Big scaly serpent. It's dead. That's,
I mean, if I'm understanding correctly, at a rough estimate, the Ormangandir were summoned, were manifested 1,500 to 2,000 years ago.
Right.
Which, at a rough estimate, is around the time dragons started to die off. Mostly, we assumed at the time, combination of the older dragons dying from natural causes and the younger dragons being hunted to extinction by the giant kin. But this suggests that there was a third group that were pulled into the plane of air by this void magic. And whether that was something they did willingly or were but that kind of hunger that you're describing would suggest to me that something about the dragon changed in that process. Like, everyone talks about dragons eating cities and whatnot, but truth is, most of them didn't care for that. The ones people remember were the outliers who, for whatever reason, decided they needed to exert their influence. Most dragons didn't care, and they didn't need to eat as much as you might expect. So they didn't go on these rampages. They were able to be quite solitary, particularly as they got older. So if a group of dragons were pulled into the plane of air and then started a rampage, either you were immensely unlucky with the particular dragon that got pulled in, or something fundamentally changed. And if they're still around, that certainly explains some of their behavior in a very worrying way. To be honest, it's not at all the answer I was expecting. I had a few options of what it might be, and that wasn't one of them.
Well, glad you've learned something.
Thank you very much for sharing.
And your insights about what dragons were like here, that's the word you use, is dragon?
It's the common word, yeah.
Very different creatures than what we're used to associating with the pictures that you've presented.
I mentioned I'm older than I look. Magic, as I said, has kept me around for quite some time. And I spent some of that time ensuring that I was forgotten, essentially. And more recently, I've had to sort of come out of hiding. Well, not had to, but chose to. And more recently than that, I'm thinking that hiding may have been a mistake in the first place.
The old gentleman will look at you and says, all hiding does is gives you a chance to make a better plan. If you don't take the time to make the better plan, all you're doing is wasting time.
You're not wrong.
The full 60 are not very good at hiding, he says. Even in his age, a lot of his feathers are still remarkably bright. You know, bird feathers don't dull with age, is one of those things that's just, you know, they may produce fewer of those colorful feathers, but the ones that are for most avian species come in just as vivid as the day they were hatched. So the only way, you know, at visual, it's his body language that speaks his age. It's a little crooked over. He's obviously got one wing that got hooked into something badly at a really unfortunate angle, and it's doesn't work properly anymore. And the lady that's sitting with him has an eye patch. there's a few places where there's permanent scars. Again, hard lives, right? But neither of them, but other than those visual clues, the color palette is Khazra, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? And so there's a little bit of irony in his voice when he speaks. He says, the full 60 are not very good at hiding. Even when given shadow, somehow we just don't blend in well. But, so we've learned not to waste time. He pauses and he kind of looks over at the woman, and she shakes her head. Except that the youngsters have pointed out to us very bluntly that we have very recently.
They have a habit of doing that. And Meisel sort of stands up and he holds out a hand.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Meisel Ludovic Micha. I am close to 1,500 years old. Because back then, my essence was merged with that of a dragon, who was a close friend of mine. And we have spent centuries trying to find a way to reverse that. But we decided that our presence was causing more harm than good. And that until we found an option that would actually promise to be successful, we would step aside. And we did that for so long that I think we forgot why we were trying to help people in the first place. Thank you very much for talking with me.
The old fellow is obviously going to say something until he gets a very sharp wing knuckle in the rib cage. And then the elderly lady smiles and said, "It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And don't worry, you don't look a day over 1100.
You're the first people I've told that to so directly in... I don't remember the last time it happened. Yeah. I think it's time to stop hiding.
All right. I like that scene.
That's dope.
Okay. Move the camera around. What is Spider up to in that intervening day or two? Is there anything in particular?
Yeah. Given that there was a big fanfare about Cedric arriving in town,
Mm-hmm.
Switch is going to keep feelers out for like what his movements are and who he's talking to.
Yep.
And where he's staying.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the matter of the lady assassin, who the Rice Boys ran into. And if there's no news on that front after about a day, I think it's time to bring in the Rice Boys and Meisel and see what Meisel can get out of them that they weren't able to get out of themselves.
All right. Yeah, sure. I think the only, for lack of a better way of putting it, the only datum point you're going to get in the military sense of a datum, there's a contact over there, is that someone kicked the crap out of a troll over in the drain pit. Sounds awfully. Now, what was interesting about it was specifically it's a rough town. That kind of stuff happens. First of which is the thing that immediately is okay. Someone managed to kick crap out of a troll. That's interesting in and of itself. Now, kick the crap out of a troll is always a temporary state, as you found out that trolls are myconoids. If you do not incinerate, they'll be back tomorrow morning. Okay. But that having been said, whoever it was, basically managed to, all of the wounds were designed to temporarily incapacitate. And that's pretty much exactly the MO of whoever it was that ran over top of the Rice Boys.
Yeah. Sounds like we've got a new troll best friend, is what I'm hearing.
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, definitely bring him in if we can as well.
All right, so that's going to be a little bit more complicated than you might think.
Oh no, it sounds complicated.
Hang on a second, grabbing a name really quickly.
The point Miles also is also sort of like, I don't need them to find information about her, right?
But not easier if you have their,
Depends on how I look, really.
Interesting.
For lack of a better way of describing it, I can tap into the universal consciousness. The universe doesn't forget.
Excuse me for sneezing. I'm just allergic to your bullshit.
Thank you.
An accurate way to describe it.
I desperately needed that. Thank you.
Just the most coherent.
Do you ever just tap into the universal consciousness?
Not since Woodstock.
If you remember doing it, you weren't there. Yeah. I mean, oh, what the hell?
That is incidentally how he describes his precognition. Just mechanically, that's how he describes what he's doing when he does precognition.
I don't know which one's worse. I don't like either. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Which has he's only been able to do that since he was he also describes, shunted out of reality. After reality recoiled from him.
Fun.
Does reality ever hate you so much?
Yeah.
Kicks you out.
Reality
honestly, that sounds pretty relatable to BH.
I said it and then I realized how relatable it felt.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear, that awkward moment when.
Yeah.
All right, so the troll in question's name is Melcree. Melcree is by troll standards somewhat antisocial.
Love it.
Keep in mind that the one troll you're on speaking terms with is the ambassador, because he's the only one who's willing to deal with the humans.
Yeah. Our magic item making dude,
Yes.
right?
Yes. The reason
good.
he's the merchant, the reason he's the ambassador is he's the only one of the merchants that'll actually transact with the humans. So great, you're now the human ambassador. Because trolls just find the humans so annoying. By
That's
troll
good,
standards,
right?
by troll standards, Melkree is antisocial. A bit of a hermit, and apparently a junk collector of some kind.
Okay.
You are able, without too much, again, you get an automatic 16 on affairs criminal, no roll required. You are able to determine with a few discrete inquiries after getting, okay, so who was it that got rolled in the drain pit? Unusual as it is. Unusual one that it was noteworthy, two unusual that it was a troll, and unusual that someone tried to fight a troll with using permanent methods of damaging, and unusual that they apparently won. So a lot of things just kind of crawled in on the web, if you will. It takes a little bit of time to find out, but yeah. So Melkree, the name is Melkree, antisocial by troll standards, junk collector, and is looking for something. Is the other piece of information that you will be able to determine about Melkree. They're not down there randomly. There's something they're looking for.
Right, that Melkree is looking for.
Right.
Am I able to get any information out of my friend, the ambassador, about what it is Melkree might be looking for?
That I will actually require a die roll for, because you're basically asking him to break confidences. So that would be a persuasion roll, I think.
Yeah, nice. I get to do a thing.
Yes, you do. All the things.
How can I make this a deception instead of a persuasion?
Well, you would have to lie to the ambassador, as opposed to being
Which is
sincere.
not actually something I really want to do. I'm just thinking about it though. No, I will go with persuasion, because I have built a trusting relationship with this person, and I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, you do not want to risk a bad roll.
Yeah, well, a bad roll on the persuasion is like, no, that's confidential. A bad roll on deception is get out, and that's like not good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good start. Okay. Double explode on the 8. We're in business.
Brilliant. All right. Yep.
So it's 10 plus 16 plus 3 is 29.
Oh, wow. Yes. Yeah, that was easily more than you needed. CR, I mean, you have a good working relationship with them, so I was somewhere in the CR around a 20.
Especially since, like, I came back and could show the money that I said that I would give this guy.
Yes, exactly. So, you're, and you're also one of the few humans that can take the time, because don't forget, trolls have a very ant-like way of speaking. And so you have to have a lot of patience to hang out and chat with a troll. You're one of the only humans that bothers. So yeah. So this has actually been a puzzle to the ambassador themselves. So it seems to be that Melkree has gotten word of some amulet that was lost down in the drain pit. The amulet in question is supposed to be something that belongs in troll history, but no one can really figure out what it is, because trolls really don't worry much about history. Trolls are just there. And so there's no real concept of a troll historian, for lack of a better way of putting it. Troll history is recorded by is a xeno history, if you will. It's people recording what they see trolls doing, as opposed to trolls worrying about it themselves. They're just, trolls are there. But Melcree has gotten it into his fuzzy head that this is an item of cultural importance to the trolls that needs to be retrieved from the drain pit. And so they're down there looking for it.
Okay.
Now, by looking for it, I mean for the past 3 years.
Right.
Not last Tuesday. I mean, the past 3 years.
Right. Okay. Well, at least we can maybe do this guy a favor. I'm just not sure how valuable that is to us. In terms of actually tracking down this lady. Except that we can find out where in the drain pit or in the sewers she was, which might be where she's hiding out. I think Meisel's universal consciousness might be more useful as a place to start.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's lost on Spider that your experience thus far with the drain pit is it's not a place. Anyone who figures they can just camp there is not faint-hearted.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think in the meantime, Switch will put out through Stonefist's lads and whoever, the Rice Boys and whoever else are now like part of the operation, to keep an eye out for some troll-looking amulet. I mean, is there any better description than that? Or would I have to speak to Melcree himself, or themselves, right, though?
Yeah. Okay. It's going to take you a little bit. I mean, it takes a little bit of time for the signal to get out to the edge of the web and come back, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not a high priority thing.
Yeah.
But
so while you haven't yet managed really to get writing down, colored blocks are actually becoming a favorite play toy.
I did not understand that sentence.
I was talking to Chantal for Alexandria. She'd been, because in the intervening time she was supposed to be training the plant. So, by the way, as an update, as we're going around, not making a lot of progress so far on writing, but colored blocks are cool.
So we don't like to write, but we do like colored blocks. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's just it's a progression thing. Prehensile, as in, can wrap a vine around something and pick it up, is not the same thing as can hold a quill.
Right, I see. I understand.
There's a coarseness issue there. Blocks right now are much more in, blocks, goat
what
legs,
about a piece of charcoal?
Oh, charcoal. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I'm not saying like you gotta hold a pen delicately with your prehensile vines. Like that's not what
yeah, it's just that the thing is with Alexandria, that would have been almost by default how she would have started, because that's for a noblewoman, that's writing.
I mean, that's where she'd start, but like she's also reasonable enough to recognize it's a vine.
Yeah. I'm just going to I just think, like I said, I just think there's going to be a bit of a comedy moment where just murder vine trying to manipulate goose quill.
Oh no. I mean, but also this vine is smarter than her, so yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, you haven't quite decided whether or not you're willing to play checkers with it. Do I want to teach this? Do I want to risk teaching this thing backgammon?
I mean, I doubt she would play backgammon, so probably.
Fair enough.
As in, she'd teach it because she doesn't want to play. So if someone asks, "Hey, do you want to play backgammon?" Yes. Play with this. I do not have to.
Okay, that's just beautiful as a mental
Avoid
image.
court. Send vine.
Yeah. It's about the same process you'd expect for training a fairly a smart dog. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I have one of those.
Hence the point of reference.
So it's not going very well then, because Puck
does-
will learn how to do something, find the most efficient way of doing it. I feel like I'm describing ADHD. If you're looking for someone to make your business efficient, get a neuro to first person. We're lazy. We don't want to do this thing that you're asking us to do. So we'll find the most efficient way to do it and then stop.
Yep. Just be sure to write down what it is we told you, because we're not going to remember.
Remember, we'd have to do it again, but we're never going to do it again because we're bored of it, because we did it the first time. Anyway, now I have.
You just about hit upon the entire justification for the Bash scripting language in Unix, by the way. It's largely autistic 1970s programmers who didn't want to have to do manual tasks twice. So instead of taking 15 minutes to do a manual task once a week, would take 3 hours to write a program that would do the manual task ad infinitum.
That's it. That's the one. Can I have that, please? That's that there. Yeah. That's it. That's my entire MO.
That's literally how the Bash scripting language in Unix came to be.
Yeah, people get really mad when I'm like, no, it just takes 10 minutes. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. It does now. No. So yeah.
Yes, it's like trying to train a relatively intelligent dog whose primary motivation is whether or not it's hungry.
Okay. She'll play hide and seek with food.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to use the alphabet to locate the food. So Alexandri's going to spend some time making a puzzle room.
Okay.
It's only on the second try that she realizes the vine needs to not be in the room when that happens, or it defeats the purpose.
There is going to be at least one moment where either Gale or Rain will be asking Switch, have you any idea why she's rearranging the furniture up there?
It's not even her, it's granite. Thanks, G-Man.
Okay. So, yeah. So let's see here. What time are we at? Okay, we've got about 45 minutes left. Cool. So what do you want? There's essentially time really to do about one of the two things. So which is it you'd rather deal with, Cedric or the Mystery Lady?
Well, that's a hard decision. Mystery Lady. Cedric is a longer term problem.
All right then.
So I think the Mystery Lady currently involves more people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cedric currently would just be Mysel.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it occurred to me we could get like some kind of, I don't know if collar is the correct thing, but if we can get the enchant it with like power level 5 tongues and then give it to the vine, it might make it speak. Give it the ability to talk.
See, given what happened with Scramble and Oat, do you really think giving an intelligent creature the ability to speak, a creature that Alexandria created, would be a wise decision?
One that went immediately for the emo name of Thornfang.
I don't know about doing it right now.
It would immediately contact.
In the future.
It would immediately contact Carves McGee. Immediate.
But it might then eat her.
Only if she didn't realize it was hungry. I have a feeling she's smarter than Alexandria too, so...
All right. So roll to precog.
Yep. Now,
Can
remind
I-
me how.
Can I ask? Does Alexandria know any of the information that any of you have gained over the last 2 days? Because I don't know. I, Chantel, have no idea whether Alexandria knows any of the information that you've gained over the last 2 days because we haven't had any. Like, you can
Yes.
just say, hey, yeah, it was, but I don't know.
Nothing that my soul has gained is a secret.
Okay.
So,
That's different to has he told her.
well, that's the thing is like, if we're meeting up and potentially having meals and whatever.
Yeah, you folks are doing at least one
It's
or
like,
two.
what did you
meals
do
a day,
today?
and
This is what I did today.
Okay, cool.
Research went and talked to Elder Wolf 60 about the legacy of dragons. What?
Flower
Yeah.
pot.
Yeah. That one of the few details that Maestel and Hero remember is that someone was trying to erase them from history. Sounds an awful lot like void magic.
Yeah, sounds like maybe we found the person that.
And it's just like, maybe we're remembering this wrong.
So do you think that Full 60 tried to like drag you through space, and instead you ended up origami?
Like if they were an earlier attempt where it didn't work.
Oh no, it could have been that you were the last attempt.
I feel like the last attempt was the one that ate them.
Or the first attempt failed, and it's you.
Yeah. That
You
is.
tried to go, and you got stuck, and then because there were two of you instead of the one, that's a mess.
Yeah.
And this is the mess.
Yeah.
You.
It was yeah, that might have been the reason. So we might have been misremembering this for a while.
We should let Kaz know that she's the reason that cities are eaten.
You're still caught up on that.
I mean, she's caught up on it, so it's just interesting that that's what may have happened.
Yeah.
Unless dragons didn't come from here at all. I made them.
All right.
So remind me how your prescience works.
So
Or
prescience.
Your precog.
Precognition. It very much depends on what power level you got, which I got the full 7. So like previously we've had like the power level 5 where it's just like ask a question, get a meaningful but not amazingly in-depth answer.
Sure.
And then you can't look into that subject for a week. Upon getting to power level 7, something which kind of freaked out is the wrong term, perturbed maybe when it happened. Like the information becomes a lot easier to get. You essentially like focus on a thing and it's like it just starts feeding you information until you just choose to not look at the thing.
Right.
So it's basically like tapping into he reaches out and being like, I want to know more about this person, and then the universe goes, here you go.
Gotcha. All right, give me a moment while I think about that.
So I'll see if it's got what it actually is. Choose a particular event, decision, person, place, etc. After invoking this boon, the target begins to have extraordinary encounters, visions, trances, dreams, out-of-body experiences, etc., through which the GM will provide the target with detailed information about the subject of your prescience. You can only maintain one subject at a given time, but concentration is not required.
Interesting.
It's perpetuated until you choose to end it or you shift your focus.
Sure. It's going to be kind of anticlimactic. Sure. So what? Okay. So what did you?
Is Spider or Alexandre there when this happens, though?
I'm asked. Yeah, that's
because that's not. He's usually just walked off and done it, but he's actually sort of talking a bit more about it now. So are they like, all right, go ahead?
Yeah. Alexandre would just be there. Why not?
All right.
So you basically just see Meisel sort of like make himself comfortable, and then he closes his eyes. And then at some point they just snap open again and they're just glowing.
I feel I as a GM, I feel vaguely cheated by this power, but I let you have it. So it's fine.
I agree. So I feel like also don't feel like you need to.
Yeah, but
give too much away.
It just rearranges a couple of items in the plot. So Meisel is going to see a cuckoo clock. It's the is it the cuckoo clock? No, it's not the cuckoo clock. It's the wind-up monkey at the mansion. We're in the background. The first time you tried scrying on Gromere.
Yeah.
It held up a flag. Alexandre had never seen the monkey move the entire time. It holds a green flag and a red flag. And the one time that the first time Meisel tried scrying, ding, up came the green flag. And so the initial image is the monkey being shoved in a bag. But it's oddly enough, the initial flash image is from the monkey's perspective. So you get to see the room juggling around, and then thump, it goes into the bag, and then of course, the top of the bag gets tied, the light going up. Next image you're going to see is there's a word that I was kind of curious that Meisel never wigged on, was the fact that the lady in question was described as wearing Wyvern scale armor. Wyvern is a draconid. It's a scalekin under the local parlance, but mostly because nobody knows what a draconid is anymore. But I Maheo would be more than willing to give a 45-minute lecture on the fact that all major and interesting intelligent lizards are all, lesser variations on the theme of dragon. They're all descendants. They're not, in fact, scalekin. They're dragonkin or draconoids. Okay? Got it. Cool. This is important. Heo would be very firm on this. Nobody else cares. But Wyvern is a particular type. It's one of the actual only remaining types of, like I say, everyone today, modern world, considers Wyvern a apex predator scalekin. It's actually the equivalent of an exceedingly dumb dragon. Is actually a far better equivalent of it. They average the size of a Learjet. Will teleport if annoyed. And by annoyed, I mean, needs to get behind you to discuss your manners. And they're absolutely apex predators. Cow's good for about a week. Oddly enough, the Confederacy is not terribly keen on Wyvern hanging out in their territory because a cow a week starts to add up. Okay. per Wyvern. Okay. So Wyvern have been functionally annihilated within the borders of the Confederacy. Have been for, coincidentally, about 50 years. But Wyvern scale is incredibly difficult to work with. It's kind of like saying working with oyster shell to make armor. It's inflexible. It's basically it's a non-flexible, highly calcified plate that literally grows to fit the exact spot on the creature's body and is practically useless because they come in textbook size pieces. It's completely impractical to build armor out of for anything less than the size of a wyvern, anyway. I mean, Giantkin thought they were fashionable, but they also tended to keep them as pets. Make really good guard dogs. Or it's actually a little bit more like really good guard parrots is probably a better way of putting it. Intelligence of a parrot, politeness of a ragged tooth shark. For perspective. So like I say, so you're going to get a glimpse of a suit of armor being pulled on in the dark. And you're going to see a really long line of stitching that's been redone in the armor all along the back of that arm. And my soul will, without requiring a roll, recognize that armor. That's Gromer. He's seen that armor hanging in her closet. The one time when she was sitting there in contemplation, regretting her decisions. The next thing you're going to see is the butler. Madam? Out goes the candle. Into the closet. A quick sashay through the kitchen. Again, you're seeing this from these weird angles, so all you're seeing is hands moving. The perspective from was from looking over the shoulder, the classic slasher movie angle where the butler's walking through the hallway with a candle, madam, and then the shadow and bang, down goes the butler. Not injured, just unconscious because didn't want him yelling. The next thing you see is a figure in armor riding through the countryside like a bat out of hell. The horseshoes glitter in the dark. The next scene you will see, again, you're getting this tumble of images, is an incredibly unfortunate idiot who didn't understand that the old hag at the side of the road begging for alms wasn't what he thought. It was a poor life choice on his part. And then you're going to recognize the skyline of Dasseldorf. Not Glitter Delta Cove. You will recognize the skyline of Glitter Delta Cove. All of the city lights and in its brilliance at night. And you're going to see waves crashing over the bow of a ship. And a figure huddled in a cloak at the bow, staring off into the distance. Can't really see the face, but familiar. Do I need to keep going, or do you want...
He stops. So I feel like a lot of that happens very quickly and is a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, you're getting this.
It's a stream of consciousness from the universe. He's like, no, okay.
Turn the tap off.
Why gobble?
The best Moulin Rouge, that very jagged, hard slash cut scene to scene to scene to scene style. I can't remember the name of the director that did Moulin Rouge, but particularly,
Baz Luhrmann.
Baz Luhrmann has a very jagged, punchy style particularly when he's working against a piece of music. He will do shutter cuts, whether it makes any sense at all, just because it's on beat.
That's all Baz.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant.
Accurate.
But but that's...
I mean, he definitely did it. Brilliant is all different, but he definitely did it.
Yeah, but that is essentially that's how it's hitting you. You're getting and so you're going from light to day to wet to all of the sensations and everything, just bang, 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 bang. Yeah, I can imagine after a few seconds of that, you turn the tap off, please.
Yeah, my sort of returns his focus, I guess, to the room, and he just looks kind of. He's just doing that sort of like he's just like. And then he's gonna try and connect a telepathic link to Gromir.
Okay.
Before he says anything to anyone else, he's just like,
Of
Sure.
all the stupid. Go ahead.
For lack of a better way of putting it, you get have you ever talked to someone who's obviously busy when you call them?
yes.
Yes, Meisel, what do you want? It's pretty much the reaction you get.
Is she? Because I have to sort of
It's
spy
on
on
idea
her.
then.
I have to spy on her to get there. Is she in the pit?
No, she's not. She's actually currently over on Saints Row.
Sorry, in the city would be a better.
Yes, but no,
Yeah.
she's in the city. She's like literally only blocks away. She's currently up on a roof with a spyglass looking at someone, and you're doing it knock, 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 knock. Excuse me? Yes, Meisel, what?
Don't distract Cromwell when she's working.
This is you don't do that.
You knock on the door and you come back later.
Who is she looking at?
Sort of. She's currently actually
Unless it's
looking
outside of my
it's actually a jewelry shop, which makes very little immediate sense. But she's very carefully studying not the proprietor, but what looks to be a broken staff on the wall behind him in his shop.
Hi. Fancy meeting you here.
There's going to be this absolutely the equivalent of a suffering sigh. Why do they always say that? What do you want, Meisel?
Well, you see, we've caught word of a new person in town, very dangerous. Has a habit of incapacitating people who get in her way, and is clearly looking for us. Now, we have a list of people who could be like that, none of whom we wish to be found by. So we put a bit of effort into trying to locate this person. And can you imagine who I found?
Let me guess, Cedric's in town.
Oh no, he wasn't hard to locate. He was very obvious.
I was joking, Meisel.
I realize.
Okay.
I mean, it's been a few days of apparently unnecessary stress.
Well, I was rather hoping to find out what the hell was going on before I showed up in Alexandre's room with an awful lot of apologizing to do.
Sure. Probably would need to be less obvious then about who you were looking for.
There's going to be this pause again by the suffering, the mental equivalent of a long suffering. So give the old girl a break. I'm out of practice, all right.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm amazingly impressed. But it's just sort of when amazingly dangerous person comes around asking after you, we have to look into that because there are some amazingly dangerous people who have less than our best interest. More specifically, either Alexandre or Jasper.
Well, no, I'm not here to do any of you any harm whatsoever, and I was planning on catching up with Alexandra within the next couple of days.
I figured. Would you be okay with me letting her know that you're here?
Because you're scrying while chatting, you're gonna. She's actually gonna put the spyglass down for a second, and she's looking up at the sky for a second. Let her know. Let her know I'm okay, and yes, I'm in town. And yes, I'll be careful.
And that you'll see her in a few days?
Yes. As I understand it, you folks aren't going anywhere for at least a couple more days.
Well,
unless someone lied to me very recently, the whole city's staying under lockdown for at least another 5 days.
Yeah, we thought it would be suspicious if we immediately left upon arriving and finding out that martial law was in place. So we're making a big show of not doing that.
Makes sense. Mm.
I'm glad you're here.
I hope that feeling persists, Meisel.
Eh. I think Alexandre could do with some family.
If she'll have me.
We'll see.
Oh, let Jasper, I believe the fellow's name is, let him know that Cedric is not as obvious as it looks.
Do you know?
I'm not quite sure what he's up to, but I can tell you that. But I can tell you that there's something else going on other than the obvious diplomatic visit.
Well, last time he was solely focused on Chevalier. And that was back in Dusseldorf. I don't know if that's changed. I can't imagine it has. I was kind of wanting to have a word with him.
Be careful. People like him in government are usually well watched. For lack of a better way of putting it, the Empire is not known for playing nice.
Well, there was a time that neither was I. And I feel like he needs to know that.
I didn't say the Confederacy. I said the Empire. The Confederacy is very, very good at at ensuring its leadership is not co-opted by clever mages in the Empire. I don't know how they do it, but do be careful.
Interesting.
You're not doing it. I guess the best way of putting this, Meisel, is there's a reason I have a monkey. You're not doing anything new.
It's good to know.
You may be better than most. Honestly, you may be better than most, but you're not doing anything new.
Well, all I really wanted to do was talk. He's not going down a good path.
I'm not sure Cedric knows any other way.
They usually don't.
I don't like Cedric, but I do respect him. He is very, very capable. That's why he is who he is.
They always are.
No, I need to get back to what I'm doing because I don't want to miss my opportunity, and he's going to close shop soon, so I will chat with you later.
I guess I will see you in a few days.
Click.
Returning to the room.
So?
So,
Mm.
Your grandmere says hi, and that she will see you in a few days.
I'm sorry, what?
That was my reaction too.
No, really, what?
Our mystery lady is your grandmere. That was also my reaction as well. So upon realizing, I thought I should confirm and have a word. She was a little irritated that I interrupted her while she was busy.
Bullshit. I thought there would be a lot of reasons to leave. I didn't think it would be this one.
I don't know what she's doing, but she said that in a few days she would be able to come and talk to you directly.
Few days.
Though she did seem apprehensive that you might not want to.
You think I was joking when I said it's time to leave?
I didn't think you were joking. No.
Okay, good.
I just don't know if I agree with you.
You don't have to agree with me.
I realize.
You don't have to agree with me to do something that I'm saying. Not required.
We're not quite ready to leave yet, I'm afraid. Honestly, this could have been a lot worse.
Oh?
I mean, I'd rather it was your grandma than a silver hand assassin. Let me clarify. I'd prefer that it's your grandma.
Right. Okay. Because at the moment we have all of family gathering.
She did warn me about Cedric as well.
All of the family is gathering. And you know, the first thing that pops into my head is, hey, so if she's got a contract, what's that contract say?
What?
Why is she here?
She seems to be investigating something or someone. I'm not sure. At the very least, it might be worth waiting to find out. That could be important.
If it turns out she's investigating, you know, poisons to kill me, then no.
Why would she be killing you?
I was sent out to do a thing with no information. My assumption would be that I would fail because I have no information to do the thing. I don't know what contract she signed.
Why don't you ask?
Because I'm a smart person and I know my grandmother moves faster than I think she does.
I mean, I've only talked to her a handful of times, but I've never gotten the impression that she harbors anything other than concern and love for you.
Mhm. I agree. But if a contract can stop her talking, what else can it do?
Feel like that's something to ask? We can be on guard when we do it. Various ways to incapacitate her.
I don't know that I can incapacitate my grandmother if I'm face to face with her.
Wasn't saying it would be you. I said we have. 3 of us.
Scrambled a Note would like you to be reminded that they have gotten extremely good with that matchbook and matchstick, and they're here to save you.
5 of us.
Thank you, Scramble. Thank you, Oat. I don't know. But it will be a few days, so I have time to think.
Yeah. Should probably try and do something about Cedric in that time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Are we going to talk to him too?
I was thinking about it. I have some choice words.
Oh.
I wouldn't mind.
You won't. Excuse
Wow.
me.
Oh, we can incapacitate him. Sure, that's fine.
I mean, your grandmother did point out that I was probably being a little rash, which sounds like me.
The fuck you say?
Not to be fair, I was thinking of going to have a conversation with him. Your way is probably safer.
Well,
Oy.
Elena did point out that Confederacy has put a lot of effort into making it hard to muck with people's minds, with the important people within their government. Apparently the Empire likes to do that, so.
Maybe they put more work into making sure their government didn't muck with people's minds.
I mean, yeah, but you know.
Whisper of the Wild?
Mm-hmm.
Is Grandmère going to hurt me?
No.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a second. Hang on a second. Actually, I actually need to back the truck up on that for a moment. And the reason is because you're not talking to the consciousness, you're talking to the Chanson. And so the Chanson will say yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah, thanks.
That was a really open-ended question, so no, wait, yes is probably the correct answer.
Now, that was the GM screwing up. My apologies. So yes, but it would have been a brief pause, not much of one, but still perceptible, followed by a yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Oh, that's what you think. Because Genevieve just walked in.
Ah, shit.
Walked in.
Fuck.
Walked in.
Walked in?
Walked in.
With her leggies?
As in, the doors just opened.
And the cops walked in.
And no, actually, she's currently dressed pretty much exactly how you'd expect the height of fashion for an imperial noblewoman. So long sleeves, heel-length dress with plenty of hem, ridiculous amount of silk, linen, brocade, embroidery. Colors are rich purples, deep and light reds, classic basalt noirs, silver threads, garnet gems as highlights. She has a bodyguard with her, as is befitting the station of a noble woman. Remember that guy with the thing that he threw that made the portal that she walked at, that the werekin came popping out of there? Yeah, there's 6 of them.
All with masks?
Yes.
Fun.
They're her honor guard, obviously.
And they're in our room.
They've just I presume you guys were having evening, having dinner, relaxing. VIP section, door opens. Oh, that's it. What the fuck?
do any respond to Spider? Like, oh, that's the weird fucker that decided to try to pull him. Do any of them respond? I need to know.
Yeah, one of them starts doing this.
Just please don't tell. I need to know. Alexandria doesn't even know.
No, none of them reacted at all.
Huh, okay.
I mean, Genevieve is striking. It's just, forget the part where she's wearing a village fortune in her clothing. She's a striking looking woman. So she's causing a bit of a stir as she walks in. It's not normal to have imperial dignitaries staying at the staggering clock. We'll use that phrase, not normal, yeah. So yeah, she and her entourage don't quite sashay over to the but very loudly request rooms for, let's see, it would be 6, 7, 8, and 8 place for hounds and a stable of mare.
Spider has already given the silent hand signal not only to his people in the room but to the twins people in the room that this is trouble.
There's an awful lot of hands that have gone under tables.
not just could be trouble, but is trouble.
Okay. Sam, you look concerned.
They're like, today's been really interesting.
Yeah. So interesting.
One might say the shit is going down.
So Gale and Rain make the unusual decision to wander over and chat with their new customer. Again, they have their clockwork camel with the hood on top that they trot over with, and very easy banter going back and forth. A couple bags of coins. Oh yes, yeah, they're staying with me. They'll need a room. Blah blah blah. Yeah, making arrangements, whatever. And the guards, we'll call them Oni. They're not. I mean, wouldn't be so brass as to bring actual demons in here. They're just, but the guys with the Oni masks are a polite, respectful gap space around so she can conduct her business. And like I say, there's an awful lot of hands that have drink in one hand, other hand under the table, all around the place. Are any of you going to say anything, do anything? Like I say, Jasper, Spider, your signal is not missed. There are too many professionals in here. Like I say, and a certain number of the hands went under the bar at your under the table at your signal, and a certain number of the hands went under tables at the result that several other people in the room had just put their hands under the table, right? So there's an awful lot of heavily armed and very talented people in here waiting for a bar fight to break out.
So she's just chilling?
Yeah. Like I say, negotiates pricing on a room. Arranges, you can hear her chatting. It's not hard. The acoustics aren't great, but you're all capable people. You're adventurers. No perception.
I was going to say hi.
Okay, fair enough. Just stroll right on up.
Okay. I suggest we get a room.
I already have one.
I didn't mean a physical one.
there's going to be a fight, I'd rather it be here where there's more people to help us.
Not how I would phrase it. All right.
Her face lights up. She's so delighted to see you. What a delightful coincidence seeing you here. Alexandre, darling, how are you? What brings you over here?
It's been a really long day, so I thought maybe instead I would just try something different, which is just to ask people what the fuck they're doing in the city. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Long day travel, you know how it is. But wasn't bad. I thought the southern slope route was supposed to be far more impassable than that, but didn't have much of trouble getting up here at all. The air's a little thin. Still getting used to that. How
Southern
are
slope
you?
from where?
Oh, she smiles. Deliverance of the Dawn, of course.
Of course.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, no role required. She's dressed as an imperial deliverer. That's okay.
No, Alex, that's what that face is. Alexandre and Chantal, huh?
I'm here for a religious observance in the morning. Saints Rise, you know these things. There's a new shrine being set up and all that other good stuff. So, of course, as an officiary, as a dignitary, I'm supposed to be here and handle these things. So,
oh, you're an officiary?
Of course, I'm a dignitary. Don't be catty, dear.
It's been so long. I didn't know your entire curriculum vitae.
Oh, well, do you have time to sit down and have a drink? Maybe catch up on news?
I don't drink.
I didn't say it had to be alcohol.
Oh. I will sit.
Fine. Do you have a good... Gale and Rain, by the way, are very obviously trying to figure out if they should order the snipers to open fire, and if so, on who. Like, nothing in this exchange is making any sense whatsoever to them. Like, has she been possessed? Are they really friends? Why is she scary? Why is now she being scary? Sure. So, that is going to be a very long scene. So we're going to wrap it up there, with Gale arranging to have a one of the more capable waiters, basically dedicated to taking care of you two's table. Anything you need, just put it on. Gale was going to say, put it on the house. And, no, I wouldn't think of doing that. No. That would be unfair of me, completely unfair. No, I'll just put it on my tab. The Empire will pick it up. So, yeah. And that's where we're basically going to leave it for tonight.
Yay.
Why not? Why not? Look, everyone's here. We're having a party now. It's party time, right?
The whole gang is here.
Like,
you can almost smell the city going up in flames already, can't you?
I mean,
Like that.
honestly, Alexandre's about to basically call everyone out for jealousy. Like, you had your time, and now here you are trying to, like...
That's
Sit
really
down,
funny.
grandmas. Come on.
And now you're back. I'm out of place. You just walked in. Fun here. Anyway.
Oh, dear. It's all right. I'm sure I remembered to feed Thornfang.
This couldn't possibly go bad.
I'm sure he doesn't get fed after I've eaten in the evening. I'm sure he gets fed before. Doesn't sound like something Alexandre would do, because she'd bring it back up on the way back up. complicated can we make this?
I'm just gonna say, you send somebody a bouquet of roses. You say?
A huge bouquet, all for you.
I do like just because it's like obviously all the obvious people with like hands under, surreptitiously on weapons. But then like every single person here has hidden people as well. It's just like it just keeps going back further and further out, where it's just like the hidden guards from the bar, the hidden guards that Jenny might have, the Lucon that are probably just the indeterminate number of Lucon that are just around, concealed. It's just
They're like rats in London. There's no real knowledge, and they're always facing north.
I'm just going to say the Romeo Must Die. There's this absolutely fantastic scene where it's a bar fight that's going on until someone gets pissed off and actually pulls a gun out, and then everyone has suddenly got a gun, and everyone's got a gun pointed at them, and they're all standing there looking at each other like, I don't dare move, but I'm also not putting my gun down.
That's the one. That's where Alexandria's at. Like, it's exactly the thing of, if there's going to be, if there is a spider in my room, I know there is a spider in my room. If I take my eyes off the spider in my room, I know there's a spider somewhere.
Yup.
Let me keep my eye on the spider in the room for the next few days until my grandmother arrives. And turns out to also be a spider in the room. I don't know.
We should just invite everyone.
Yeah, we should call Cedric.
Yeah.
By the way, your son's over here having a drink. Pop in. We've got people we'd love to introduce you to him with. What are those two doing here?
We're gonna make a day of it.
What a fucking mess.
So all I can imagine is Cedric looking at Genevieve and Cromer going, "What are those two doing there?" And the same thing going all the way around the triangle. Like, what are those two?
What do you mean, you people?
I'm ready for them all to have gone to school together.
It turns out this is just one really long, extended Monster Hearts gag.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess
That's it.
We'll wrap up and be back next week. Alexandria might not be. she might run, but I will be here.
The ultimate of the party, Alexandria just leaves the city.
No, bye. Bye. I'm off to a volcano. Bye.
Oh, that's why she's been creating creatures lately. She's building a replacement party.
Not terrifying.
Well, eventually you're all gonna, end up where you're supposed to end up, likely dead. So she needs something.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see you next week.
Cheers, all.